Morning, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. I am in the Cleveland National Forest, the Santa Ana Mountains, and I am in Riverside County, southwestern Riverside County, California, near Lake Elsinore. Right now I'm parked on North Main Divide Road, the paved portion, before it becomes dirt up that way. I'm about an elevation of 3,100 feet above sea level. And if this area looks very scarred, it's because this area was affected by the 2018 Holy Fire that burnt August and September of that year. I'm at a place called Old Dominion Saddle. I recorded a video here almost 3 years ago, early January of 2018. I never got to post it, but I did a hike up this fire break to this random peak called Peak 3480. If any of you watching are familiar with Peak Bagger and Peak Bagger summits here in Southern California, it's a Peak Bagger summit. Now, you can see here, this area was scarred pretty well by the 2018 Holy Fire. But, as you notice, there's a lot of green in there. Well, it's because the Chaparral is doing what the Chaparral does post-fire. It regenerates. And we got a lot of sugar sumac, or sugar bush, toyon, chamise, and a lot of other Chaparral shrubs like scrub oak, hoary leaf ceanothus, very common shrubs in this area here in the Santa Ana range. And they do what they do. They resprout following a burn. Let's go take a look. I remember first time I parked here, and before I hiked up that fire break, there was a really nice lush toyon over here on this side here. Let's go take a look at what it looks like now. These are toyons right here. These were very lush and full of pomes, the little red fruits that they get in the fall months. Let's go take a look and see. Try not to trip and fall. So here they are. You can see they're skeletons from when they got burnt. But you notice, look here in the middle by the crown, there they are. They're resprouted and they are growing very lavishly right now. That's a natural adaptation to their fire regime. I want to say this is McVicker Canyon, but I could be wrong. This might be McVicker Canyon, or it might be the one next to it. I believe that's the name of this canyon. If I find out differently, I'll put a little remark either in the comments or in the description. But this area was ravaged. However, you see, a lot of the shrubs on this side have either already covered, or some of them weren't even touched. But on this side, it was completely torched. But here we are, we're going to get to see some re-sprouting of toyon. And these were nice and large toyons too. And there was a foothill ash. I see that it has re-sprouted too. You see up here, these are dead, burnt branches, but I can see some live tissue here. You don't see any leaves because the ash is deciduous. It sheds its leaves in fall and is leafless in winter. But actually, what I meant to point out before I got distracted by that is here's another thing. We got a sugar sumac that apparently sprouted up after the 2018 Holy Fire. This is Rusovata. Looks like that germinated afterwards. I see some, it looks like I think this is Ceanothus tomentosus. I always have trouble telling them from Ceanothus oleganthus. But it looks like we got some Ceanothus tomentosus. These are seedling shrubs here. These are ones that germinated after the fire because the fire scarified the seeds. And then the rains came, and we had a good rainy season 2018-2019, so therefore the shrubs are doing pretty well. And then we didn't do too badly this past rainy season either. The one that just passed in 2019-2020. And then here's a common fire follower right here. This is Dendromicon rigida. This is the bush poppy. This one comes up like crazy after fire. In fact, the seeds require fire scarification. It's either from the fire itself or from the smoke generated in the tissues of the burnt plants. Some plants require the heat to scarify, and some plants require the smoke or charate from the burnt material. But bush poppy is a very common fire follower, and this one's only probably just under 2 years old. It probably sprouted during the winter or spring of 2019, and you can tell it's already flowered. It's already had its first flowers. They're very quick to colonize a burnt site. Then we got a lot more resprouted shrubs here. In fact, we even got a small use trail that goes up this way. If I'm correct, and I believe I am, I've never done this one before, but this use trail could potentially take you all the way up to Los Pinos Saddle, possibly to Vicker Benchmark, which is just above Los Pinos Saddle, and that's a small 4,316-foot peak just above the saddle and east of Los Pinos Peak. I mean, there is a possibility of being able to take that to Los Pinos Peak, though I don't know how overgrown it is higher up on the ridge. So, and here we go. Very common to find this coming up after fire. Common chamise, Adenosoma fasciculatum, variety fasciculatum. Quite a few of these little sapling shrubs here. Quite a few of them actually. And then, well, that's one way chamise regenerates after fire. Now, let's go look at another very common regenerative measure of chamise. Resprouting. This is a chamise right here that burnt, and then there's a whole bunch of living green tissue coming out now, all resprouting from the root burrow. Here's a smaller seedling right here of chamise. So now you see fire came ripping through here, but the plant's buds, all the plant's new tissues came ripping through, and we got some shrubs here that were relatively unscathed. Over here you can see these shrubs are they still appear the same as they did when I was back here in 2018. And another plant that thrives on fire, Hespero yucca whippley, the Chaparral yucca. Sometimes they'll flower in mass and come up in mass. Though I've been able to germinate Chaparral yucca without any special measures. I have a couple of Chaparral yucca seedlings at home, and they really don't require fire to germinate. I just planted the seeds and watered them, and they just came up. I had a few of them come up for me. So fire's not required, but it won't hurt either. Let's see what else we got around here. Here we got hollyleaf redberry, Rhamnus ilicifolia. They will also elicit a resprouting response from fire as well, and they're pretty common up here in the Santa Ana range. And birchleaf cercocarpus, Cercocarpus betuloides, variety betuloides. Another one that will resprout. Let's go see what this is here, because I'm not even sure. All I can see is just the skeleton. I don't see the tissue, the regenerated tissue. Well, this one didn't resprout, whatever this was. I'm not even sure what this is. Let me see. Might be some resprouting down here. Okay, so there was a little resprouting. Apparently this was a toyon. This was a toyon. There is some resprouting. Not a lot. This one didn't come back with the vigor as a lot of the other ones do. Some of them will come back with renewed vigor, and some of them, I don't know, maybe weathered so many events. I mean, it's possible. That was a toyon. And then you'll see a lot of renewed black sage, Salvia mellifera. You'll see them quite a bit. You see a lot of young black sage specimens along here. And a lot of the tree species found here in the Santa Ana Mountains are adapted also by resprouting from their burrows, their root crowns at the base. So to see them resprouting is also not a surprise. And here we got Agarria flavescens, pale silk tassel, also known to resprout from the root crown. And there are some species of shrubs that will not resprout, that will require the seeds to germinate to continue the recolonization post-fire. Some species such as bigberry manzanita, some species of ceanothus, they actually do not resprout from root burrows because they don't have any. They actually germinate the seeds after fire or smoke scarification of the seeds. And you can see, this is the recolonization. 2 years ago, this area was just black stumps and snags. And now, it's very strongly coming back. The 2 really healthy rainfall years really did wonders for this area. It's already starting to resemble Chaparral already. Did not take very long for this to happen. It's almost becoming a jungle of Chaparral shrubs again. Look at that. Amazing. Amazing. Absolutely fantastic. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to come up here, is to see the progress. Here we got a bigberry manzanita seedling. That right there appears to be a bigberry manzanita seedling. That's how they regenerate. They regenerate from seeds. They're called obligate seeders. Not C-E-D-A-R, but S-E-E-D-E-R. They're obligate seeders. They repopulate not by root sprouting, but by germinating, a lot of times in mass. So we're coming over here to this little overlook. Let's go take a look down this canyon here. I believe there's an old mine down here somewhere. You can see, I think it's called Old Dominion Mine. I think that's why that's called Old Dominion Saddle right there. But I'm looking here. This is a Eastwood manzanita. This manzanita does resprout from a burrow. Eastwood manzanita does. Bigberry does not. Several species of manzanitas do. Several species don't. Quercus, scrub oaks, notoriously resprouting shrubs. They come back with vigor after fires as well. So, it's nice to come up here and see the regenerative power of the Chaparral. Very resilient plant community, very well adapted to fire. It was one of the reasons why I wanted to come up over here. There was another reason I wanted to come up along this way. I'm not sure if this is going to connect with Long Canyon Road. I mean, at least being open. It does connect with Long Canyon Road up that way near Falcon Group Campground. So you can technically access it, but I'm not sure if it'll be closed over there. But so I want to take time to come over here. And here's a tree, Coast Live Oak, Quercus agrifolia, variety agrifolia, that might have only received a little damage from the fire. So sometimes fires can be weird. They don't damage everything equally. Sometimes their damage is mosaic, like in patchwork. So this oak looks like it received a little bit of burn damage, but the tissue in the trunk and the branches did not die. And this toyon right here probably received very little damage. So these plants can be very, very, the fires could be very, very weird and create weird mosaic patterns of destruction. I'm waiting till parts of the San Gabriels open up to take a look at the bobcat fire damage from this year to see how that is, especially up in the coniferous forests. And we got slender sunflower. This is another common plant in disturbed areas. This is Helianthus gracilensis. Gracilensis means slender, because the leaves are slender. It's a perennial, and is very closely related to the Helianthus annuus, the annual sunflower. So here's an area that had some very mature chaparral. And I showed you this part right here, this portion here. But over here, you can see some of these shrubs were very large. Probably about 10, 12, maybe 15 feet tall. And now they're doing very well. This toyon resprouted so vigorously, it's almost as large as it was before. Amazing. Trying to think if Old Dominion mine was actually around here, because I see what looks like an old roadbed. So I love these, coming to these spots, you just find some really cool things. This must have been an old roadbed back in the day. You can see the disturbance here. We got Ceanothus crassifolius, variety crassifolius. Now, there might have been them Old Dominion mine might have been near here somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but it just comes to show you there are a lot of really neat things here in the Santa Ana Mountains, and learning your fire ecology is just one of the neat things you can do when you're here. Of course, see all this brown. A lot of these are annual invasive grasses and forbs, such as cheatgrass and stuff like that. Mustards. It's another thing. Fire disturbance can disturb the soil enough that annual invasive plants can take over as well. A lot of these are non-native grasses and mustards, which are actually it increase the chance of a too frequent fire interval, a too frequent fire return interval. In other words, fires burning much more frequently. But that basically does it for this clip here. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this informational and interesting. And I will see you on my next video very soon. Thanks for watching.